I have loved waterfalls. I have loved waterfalls for so long, and nobody I know likes to be outside. And so every time I'm doing stuff outdoors, it's like, oh, well, Jan's going to do the outdoor shit. Like, she doesn't really do. And it was like my thing, and I became comfortable being okay being by myself outdoors. But to see not just her say, hey, yeah, we chase waterfalls, because I've chased waterfalls, not chased, I didn't call it that, but I've done waterfalls in Puerto Rico and Tennessee, and I went by myself because nobody wanted to go. And so even if I was with a collective, like that was the thing I ventured off and did by myself. And to meet somebody else that said, hey, I do this, but not only do I do this with a collective of other women. I felt seen by these women I had not met yet. I felt it felt affirming to, like, that odd feeling in my head that, like, well, maybe I am just so odd that I don't know why I want to be outside, why I connect with grounding so much in the nature. And it was like I felt like I belonged.
Sponsored by Midland. Communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by MYMEDIC. Sponsored by TEMBO TUSK. Sponsored by Trail Rated Coffee Company. Sponsored by CK Knife and Tool.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hi, I'm Deborah McGlunn of Lawrenceville, Georgia, the creative and founder of Ch8sing Waterfalls. Ch8sing Waterfalls is essentially passion that was birthed from pain. Years ago, my husband and I lost our daughter. We relocated from our support system, our family, and everything that we knew that we then needed to help us heal. When we relocated to Georgia, there was a period where I found myself in a deep depression. I was spiraling, I was sad, I was not the person that I am today. And my husband and I did everything we could to find healing for me, to break the cycle of depression that I found myself in, that I just couldn't get out of. And one of his friends or coworkers suggested he take me outside, take me to a waterfall. I'm a city girl from Memphis. I had never seen a waterfall except for on TV. So he got me out, and I believe it was Amicalola Falls that he took me to. And it was there that I found something I'd never experienced before. I found healing. I found peace. I was bawling and crying and cleansing and healing all at the same time, right at the base of the waterfall. And it was absolutely amazing to me. I'd never experienced anything like that, because it had been a pill here or a bottle of something here, a glass of something to help me get through it all. But when I got to that waterfall, it was magical beyond anything I'd ever experienced before. So I fast forwarded in my life, and he would take me to waterfalls as often as we would go. And every time I went, I was healing. It was like I was ripping off layers of hurt and pain, and I was healing, and it was beautiful. Then I met this group of women, this beautiful group of women who were all part of Girl Trek. Black women on the same mission of practicing self-care and walking to save our lives, literally walking 30 minutes a day. It was there that I found this amazing sisterhood. And we were all going through something different. We all had something that we were going through and needed healing from. So I was talking to one of the ladies as we were doing our daily, our superhero Saturday treks is what we call them. And one of the ladies said, put it on the map and we'll come. Okay, so you put something on the map and women from wherever in the world will know where you are and will show up and join you. So I put it on the map, and I'm thinking only 5 or 6 women will show up. There were over 15 ladies. I think it was 15 or 16 ladies that showed up with me for that very first hike then, because I wasn't calling it Chasing Waterfalls. I just knew we were going out on a hike, and I was hopeful that there would be some healing because it's what I'd received. So I hoped that the ladies that joined me would also receive it. We hiked, and then when it was over, we had some healing moments. We had conversation. Nothing like today though, because then I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first time. And when it was over, one of the ladies asked, when's the next one? I was like, what do you mean, when's the next one? I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing. So the ladies just kept asking, when's the next one? So it was there that Chasing Waterfalls was birthed, and that was September 17th of 2017. It's been 4 years now. We just celebrated our 4th Chase-iversary is what I call it. And we go chasing waterfalls once or twice a month. And we've chased North Georgia exhaustively. We've gone over South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. We're covering the South with plans of heading north to other waterfalls. So that is essentially how Chasing Waterfalls began, in search of healing for our Black women.
Well, I first joined Chasing Waterfalls. I met Deborah through Girl Trek. We were hiking, walking the city every day, and I was at a point in my life where I had become a caretaker to my mom through her journey through dementia. And I'm a registered nurse by profession, so I was caring for people all day long, caring for my mom in the evening, and was not caring for myself. So that very first chase that I went on, Anna Ruby Falls, I found self-healing. I found my healing through the chase, and been going ever since. During that chase, I got to focus on me. I didn't have to worry about somebody else's health, somebody else's medication. Just got to focus solely on me, something I had neglected, taking care of my mom. So I found my healing, and then I was better able to take care of her. So it was a godsend for me. And I chase as often as I can.
I found out about this wonderful group of women through Camille. Camille invited me to go on a chase after we met. We had known each other for a few moments, not long, but we actually met on this land. We met here back in July with another group with the Outdoor Journal Tour, and I had been searching for community outdoors with people of color, with women of color, and I have been following and participating with Outdoor Journal Tour for a while, with just some hikes and meditations here and there. And when they first had their first big event since the pandemic, I jumped on it. 2 nights here on this land, and to have met so many people. But of all the people I met, I really connected with Janetta, the owner, and Camille. And I was like, oh, I got a big sister. And I'm like, whatever she's doing, I'm going to do. And so she invited me to the IG, and I looked at it, and I could have cried just seeing it. She said it, but I have loved waterfalls. I have loved waterfalls for so long, and nobody I know likes to be outside. And so every time I'm doing stuff outdoors, it's like, oh, well, Jan's going to do the outdoor shit. Like, she doesn't really do. And it was like my thing, and I became comfortable being okay being by myself outdoors. But to see not just her say, hey, yeah, we chase waterfalls, because I've chased waterfalls, not chased, I didn't call it that, but I've done waterfalls in Puerto Rico and Tennessee, and I went by myself because nobody wanted to go. And so even if I was with a collective, like that was the thing I ventured off and did by myself. And to meet somebody else that said, hey, I do this, but not only do I do this with a collective of other women. I felt seen by these women I had not met yet. I felt it felt affirming to, like, that odd feeling in my head that, like, well, maybe I am just so odd that I don't know why I want to be outside, why I connect with grounding so much in the nature. And it was like I felt like I belonged. So fast forward, I didn't make it, the one event that they went to right after, I think in maybe August. And I said, well, the next time I can, I'm going to make it out to something. And Camille texted me. She said, are you going to Sonia's event in October? And I was like, I don't know. When is it? Send it to me. And I booked it then. I was like, because I don't want to miss this next thing. And it was just so beautiful that she invited these ladies so I could meet them in the same space I met her just a few months ago. And I've already signed up for the chase they have in November.
The warmth and the love that I felt and the hugs, and I was so glad to go to be there. I had to be there. I knew I had to be there, but I kind of lived my life on spirit, It just go, do it, just go. So that's what happened. I went. It was beautiful. I loved how you all during your chase that you stop in, have lunch, and you connect and talk about what you experienced. I really love that these women are smart. They know shit outside, They know the plants and that's such and such, and they know about how to protect yourself hiking, what to have on, what to wear, almost how to eat while we're out.
To the United States, seeing people doing things outside, especially black people doing things outside, it was always, why are you doing that? That's white people stuff. And so for me, I never knew there was a color to activities that were outside. So I just was raised thinking, oh, we do all things no matter what color we are. So I think sometimes we are our own obstacle. Like we need to see each other do things so we can be encouraged to do those things. And so that's what I love about Chasing Waterfalls. People see us and they're like, oh, okay, we're doing that, and it's okay to do. So I think that's what we need to be more visible so people know it's okay to be outside and not feel like a threat or be threatened.
I think that it is a combination of culture and gender, where there and a culture of quote unquote gender, because you are taught when you're small to do certain things, that these things are ladylike, or this is how a girl behaves. And growing up wanting to do what my brothers did, I found myself outside more, climbing trees and doing stuff that maybe the other girls weren't doing. But it wasn't so much just that I couldn't do the things one or the other, like be a woman or be feminine and be outside. It also became a matter of culture. And so it was a blend for different times in my life, different time periods of, well, I can be feminine and outdoors. Why can I not exist in both of those spaces? And for me, I think that women of color, black women aren't a monolith, and I think that we all may have our own experiences for maybe that hold back, maybe that has stopped us from getting outside to walk or to hike or to run or to chase waterfalls. And especially different depending on where we come from, where we grew up, there may have been like cultural experiences that had said, hey, it's not safe to be outside as a black person, as a black woman by yourself. And so there were those things. For me, like I carried ammunition and I made sure I told people where I was, and I did certain things just to make sure I was safe. And I don't know that it made me any more masculine. It made me human.
I think a lot of why we don't see this, because I know I post up pictures on Facebook, and people be like, oh, that's beautiful, but that's, like you said, that's white people stuff. Mm-hmm. And nobody wants to come out. But I just think it's a lot that know about, my parents didn't experience this, so they didn't expose this stuff to me. I exposed my children later on in life, but I think a lot of it has to do, we kind of do what we grow up seeing other people do. So I think a lot of it is being exposed, My next one, when I told Deb now, when she get one, we're trying to get another camping trip, I'm going to bring my mother and my sister out. I'm going to fly them up so they can experience what I experienced, because I think being out here with these women from all diverse backgrounds, from all different experiences or different phases in life, I want them to experience what I feel when I'm out here. I tell them all the time, being with them is my reset. I have a stressful job, have to deal with other things, but guess what? When I come out here, my week, my month, I leave it behind and I start anew after being out here with these ladies. Day one, I felt, up until yesterday, nobody ever mispronounced my name. So from the first time she met me, she said my name right. Yesterday, I don't know what happened. I'm feeling salty. I'm a little salty about it. But,
you know exactly what happened.
But this group of women...
Flush vodka happened.
They make you feel like you're a part of the family. You're not by yourself. I'm introverted at nature, so I tend to keep by myself. But I'm constantly reminded I'm not by myself. Stop riding by yourself. Stop doing this by yourself. Get to be more a part of the group. But they don't even realize I already feel like I'm a part of the group.
What I've experienced in the past early on with my husband, who introduced me to outdoors and chasing waterfalls, I had to learn to give him his time. So it posed an obstacle in that I was dedicating a lot of time to the planning, to the scouting, to everything behind the scenes that it took to get us to a chase, the website building, the everything. So it took a lot of time away from him, his time, right? It took a lot of time away from the family. And so in the beginnings, it did pose, there was an obstacle. Me and all that I was doing did present an obstacle and made it challenging for me, because I love him, in love with him, passionate about him. Chasing Waterfalls, I love it. I'm in love with it. I'm passionate about it. I had to learn to find the balance in the two, right? Because I wasn't trying to divorce my husband, and I'm not divorcing Chasing Waterfalls, so I had to find the balance. And it was an obstacle. I mean, there was an obstacle present in our marriage, in our lives, and it was Chasing Waterfalls. It started with Girl Trek, because when I go hard, I go hard. And so I was hard for Girl Trek, and I was hard for Chasing Waterfalls, and I was hard for my husband, and I was still working. I'm still working because I haven't retired yet. So I've got a lot of, competing priorities, and I had to find the balance. So yeah, there was an obstacle in the beginning, but I've learned, and I'm continually learning. He's got to have his time.
I agree with what Deborah is saying, is just finding that balance with your spouse so that you make them feel just as important to you, that the Chasing Waterfalls are as important to you. So it's just finding that balance, keeping them involved. And I know with me, when we're not chasing waterfalls, I may get my husband, and he and I may go to one of the locations that we've gone to so that he can see it. And then there are actually times where he has gone with us. It's a rare occasion. Not very often, but and he enjoyed that. So I would just say find that balance. But the most important thing to me is to take him out where it's just the two of us and have that one-on-one time where he can actually experience what I'm going through, and then he can see how important chasing waterfalls is to me, so that he respects me and he respects my space.
I don't usually take time out for myself. I'm doing for everybody else in the family, always doing this, doing that, doing this, and constantly busy. So for me, it is a time for me to sit still, to kind of sit still, to be in the moment, to enjoy the outdoors, to find my peace, my solace, to commune with the women, which is always a beautiful experience. And when I go back home to him, I am a better wife, a better mother, a better friend to everybody. So for me, that's what this does for my relationships. It makes me stop and focus on me for a change, which is something that I don't usually do.
I feel that it has indeed enriched my relationship. I mean, we've always had a strong, loving relationship, but just the fact for me to have the opportunity to be in the woods. My husband is an outdoor person, and when he learned of this from Deb, he was like, are we going to go hiking? Are we going to go chasing? I was like, nah, I'm kind of fearful of the woods, of nature. And he was like, oh man, okay. I said, and it's kind of open to women, right now it's women. And he was like, okay. And he kind of stood back. And then an opportunity presented itself for him to appear and go to one of the hikes. And he was more like a safety person, kind of like following behind. Because some of the hikes, we go up hills and in the valleys, So he kind of hung behind with Rhonda's husband. And what they would do would help the women up through anything that seemed too strenuous. And so that's what he kind of, that's the part he played of it at first. Fast forward till about a month ago when they had their chase anniversary. My husband had lost his brother unexpectedly. Wow. And he was really broken. I mean, it was really sudden. The loss was sudden. And he had been on a couple of hikes and a couple of chases with Deborah and her team. And so the chase for the 4th year anniversary was up upon us. I didn't tell him about it. We were over at my friend's house, and she was asking him to help her with some of the camping gear and all of that. And he was like, oh, there's camping going on? So I was like, yeah. He said, well, you didn't tell me. I was like, well, I wasn't really going to go because I'm one who's kind of fearful of nature during the summer months. I kind of come out in October, November, December, blah, blah. So he signed up to come, and lo and behold, fast forward, he had already signed up for it. And then he heard the news of his brother passing suddenly, and he's broken. I mean, he's broken every bone, like he could not even stand. He was broken. And he was like, well, should I go? And being his wife, I'm like, no, I need you to stay home so I can take care of you, so I can make sure that you're okay. He's like, he's like, I really need to go. I feel like I need to go. I was like, okay. And I knew two of my friends was going, and Deborah McClung would be there. So I'm like, and I was telling them, y'all better take care of him. Y'all better take care of my husband. I'm like, because again, it was too warm in the climate for me to go, because I don't like going out because things come out in the heat. They don't come out when it's cooler. So I don't go. Yes, snakes. So I said, well, I can't go. And then I had missed the opportunity to sign up to go, because I was like, well, maybe I can jump in your sleeping bag. I need to be there for you. But God has a different plan. So I let him go. And I'm calling, I'm texting. I'm like, hon, how are you? Are you okay? And he's sending me back messages. He's like, I'm okay. He say, the women, they have me. I said, oh, they do? And they jokingly, he's like, yes, Red, they have me. He said, and I'm thinking, God just put it on my heart. Just trust the people that you haven't, who you left him in the hands of, And so I did. And when he got home, we sat and we talked. I said, well, are you okay? And when he comes to the door, I'm waiting with my arms open for that same broken spirit, for him to just fall down, just be like, okay, I'm finally off and around everybody. I can just let myself go. Mind you, he's still hurt and he's still broken, but he found healing. His hurt had started gravitating towards healing. His pain had started gravitating towards peace, that God knew what he was doing.
I've been chasing for a while, since 2018, I believe. But I'm single, and I don't have any children, and I'm actually the last person in my immediate family still here. So not only have embracing the chase gave me more of a sisterhood, because I already felt it prior to, but during COVID, living alone and not having anybody to really be there with you physically at your home. So every time we chased, because we really kept going, and I still walk with my sisters and in other other areas besides the chase. But when I got on the chase, Deb always said, embrace the chase and look up. Take time to reflect. So whenever I went on the chase, I just looked up, and I thanked God to be in the company of loving women. I haven't known anybody in this group prior to me coming in 2018, but from day one, they all just showed me love, and I just hope that they know what it means to someone like me. So if women are out here because they're apprehensive about joining the group because they don't know anybody, I just came. I didn't know not one person on my first chase, but I got in the car with someone, they welcomed me, and from that day forward, it's just enriched my life. And being kind of fairly newly retired, I'm trying to throw some shade out there, but that's a new phase that can be intimidating, because you're not going to work, and then you add COVID, all of that happening all at once. It's a lot. So just being able to feel love when I'm in this group, because that's all I've ever felt. And it doesn't matter your background. I'm not from the South. A lot of people probably here are from different parts of the world or the United States or whatever. Some like me, I'm prior military. And of course, I did a lot outdoors, and I hated every minute of it. So for me to be here, sleeping in a tent, and just being outdoors and loving it, I'm just amazed at myself. And I just appreciate everybody. And I just hope if anybody is looking at this, that they would take a chance, if they're apprehensive, to do something different and new, because it's love out here in nature. It is healing out here. It is just, it makes you do things that you may not have been comfortable with before, like heights. Because I talked about that in the beginning. I was the chicken in the group. Are we actually going up that hill? But now, shoot, I'm at the front of the group. Like, let's go, we can do this. So I just encourage anyone to get out and, take a chance and embrace the chase.
I guess I have to talk about it from my first onset of meeting Deborah and have an opportunity to participate in one of the chases. And Rhonda Griffin, one of the chase champions, is my BFF. And I have been dealing with some losses in my life for family members, and probably for a couple of years, it seems like every time I turned around, I was losing a family member. And I'm one of those persons, and you know how it is in a black family, there's one person who is responsible for that family and picks up the slack for the family. So I'm arranging funerals, I am negotiating funeral costs, I am dealing with family members who, of course, don't have life insurance and all of that. But there's a spiritual component to me where God just always puts me in a place to do things, not because I want to do them, not because it's anything about me, but he just seems to compel me to be in those positions and allows me the strength, and then gives me, when I least expect it, an environment of support to build me back up so I can continue to be the hands and the feet and the face that he would require me to be, to have intention in my life. And so when she invited me to the chase, I was feeling, you know how your car is on E? That's how my body was on E. And I remember standing out there looking amongst and listening, because for me, for the chase, the waterfall was not the seeing of the waterfall, it was the hearing. And it touched my spirit, and it allowed me to release the grief of death, because death changes you. And so I didn't have to hold on to the death that I was experiencing. The other part that when you talked about how has it enriched your relationship, it has certainly opened up for me in a way that church couldn't do it. And I'm an ordained minister. Church didn't do it, but it allowed me to see relationships. It allowed me to see people in a way that I had never, ever seen people before. So instead of my mindset saying or thinking that I'm going to judge that person, it now says, wow, I wonder who she is. Like, I'm excited to know who this person is. I'm excited and respectful to her and her whole being. It's the sisterhood for me. It's that reflection. And most of them know that my favorite scripture is in Revelations 12:9, and he says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. These women are a walking epistle of the gospel, and they helped me understand that I didn't need to be in a church building to find healing, to find restoration, and to be redeemed. And that's, for me, is why I can encourage or try to encourage other women to have the same opportunity. So whether you've been dealing, because some of us are dealing with wounds that are as old as we are, but to go out in God's space and his nature, and for me, it's finding that rock and standing on it, and then just allowing God, the nature and everything, to just minister to my soul and stuff. And it has not failed me. The only time I don't show up, because God got me on an assignment somewhere else. Otherwise, I'm going to be on that chase, because I understand the healing, the restorativeness that you can get from being in that chase. And the sisterhood that's there, when people say that black women cannot be friends, they cannot be sisters to one another, we know, and it's been confirmed by this chase sisterhood, that is a lie from hell. What you say to hell, you preach, because these are some strong black women, and each and all in their own rights. And I love being in an environment where women support one another. So that's what it has done for me. It has enriched my relationships with other women in a way that I had never had. So they're not relationships, they're sisterhoods, and there's an embracement of all women now that I did not have before, and that's what it has done for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's just a wonderful thing to look out and see brown faces and green spaces that we always say, and to look out and see, because I had so many people say, camping, I would never do camping. I'm not going to sleep outside. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's rain. You know, whatever excuse they have in the book. So to come out here and see like-minded people, and I'm sure everybody's different backgrounds or whatever, their level of camping is at different, like, you know, the novice who don't know what to bring, where some people have a tent that looks like a house. Yes, you know. So, I mean, in the class we attended this morning on safety, I learned a lot, and I thought I knew safety, but he taught us a couple of things that, you know, would help us even outside of being, you know, camping. It was just a general safety. So I think this would be worthwhile for anyone to, you know, to get out their comfort zone. Yeah, it's not a black, you know, blacks don't do this, or African Americans, or however you want to categorize yourself. It's about people and just enjoying life, because we all know from what you all said, no day is promised to us. You could be out of here. Why not enjoy life? and do something different instead of just sitting at home watching television or whatever you do that's your normal, or just work yourself to death, where work, and never take out time to enjoy life.
Nature is abundant, and for everybody that's talked about how embracing the chase has helped their relationships and created sisterhood. For me, while I am excited to go on my first chase, being out in nature, even if nobody else was out here, if I was out here by myself, being out in nature has been so beneficial to me, really connecting more with myself and seeing how abundant life just is. The grass is going to keep growing. You can cut it and it's going to keep growing. And the trees are going to continue to grow and to sprout and to blossom. And being in nature on its own is so beautiful. But to be out in nature, to be out enjoying this experience with people that you have commonality with, people that you created new and forming and budding sisterhoods with, is so beneficial. And I think that while there were so many amazing classes and workshops set up today, one of the things we were talking about while we were walking was we got so much just walking together. Just talking, we got so much from that, just being out in nature and seeing each other and ourselves out in nature in a safe space on land that's owned by a Black woman, with roles named after her parents and family members, and seeing how experienced other people are. And that in itself was a spiritual experience. Like to see not only where you are, but the potential in what you can do, not so much be, but what you can do and engage in. And so this has been an amazing experience for me individually as a person, but also, like others have said, in regards to creating more sisterhood and feeling more connected. Because, like you said, nothing's promised. Nothing's promised. And in this moment right now, as we look around, there's an abundance of vehicles. There's an abundance of tents. There's an abundance of chairs that we're sitting in, but there's also abundance of life-beating hearts that share blood and faces that look like ours. And that's such a powerful thing, to not just see stuff. Like, oh, it's a bunch of people we went camping, but it's a bunch of people that feel like me. And as we share our stories, we have so many commonalities that, like, oh, I can relate to part of what you said and I can relate to part of what you said. And it just strengthens even some of the words that you may not share. You may not have told all of your story, but you saw something in somebody else's story, so your story was shared. And so that in itself was a spiritual experience. And so I'm grateful for this, for the organizers, for this group, for this land, the space, even for this opportunity to speak.
In addition to Chasing Waterfalls, which we do once a month, some of our waterfall experience or our adventures take us different places. We have chased waterfalls on horseback, and that is planned to be an annual event. We celebrate birthdays on our chases. We've chased waterfalls and hiked with champagne bottles in our backpack to celebrate birthdays at different waterfalls. We have just celebrated our fourth anniversary, which is what we call our Ch8sing year event, which unfolded with a hike to a waterfall as well as a camp out. And that's planned to be an annual event. We're hosting our very first end of year celebration in December, which will be an annual event as well, where we will step outside of our hiking boots, put down our hiking poles and backpacks, and put on some semi-formal hues of blues and dance the night away. And we'll have like chase. What are we calling it? Ch8sing, kind of like the Emmys. We're going to have Ch8sing and Chase Choice Awards, where our chasers will actually select who they believe fits best in this certain category. So it'll be kind of like the Emmys or the Chase Choice Awards, and that will be an annual event. We do an annual day one hike on New Year's Day, where we will go chase a waterfall, of course, but there's a powerful component that we do every day one of the new year, in that it's sort of a ceremonial event where we release or leave the old year behind. Not only the old year, but whatever it is we want to leave. Say in 2021, we're going to leave it on the bridge in 2022. So we have these annual events, and our calendar is building, and we're about to travel. We're going to travel. We're going to have a Jamaica trip in 2023, where we've got quite a few ladies who are chasers who are helping us to coordinate this Jamaica trip. In 2022, we're going to hit Niagara Falls, both sides. We're going to go to New York and the Canadian side. We're going to have another camp out in Kentucky. One of my friends has offered us space there. So our calendar is building. Yes, we're chasing waterfalls. We're empowering Black women to find their healing in outdoors in this amazing sister circle. We are forging diversity and changing the narrative. It's a lie to think that we don't do this. We Black women, we do this. We chase waterfalls. We hike in the woods. We put on our boots and we strap up and we put on our backpacks with our hiking poles, and we hike in the woods and we find healing in nature. We embrace the chase and we support our sisters. I started putting these 3 letters, SOS. It's support our sister. Support our sister. So when SOS unfolds in a chat somewhere or on a group or a post, it's a call of action to support our sisters. And these women of Chasing Waterfalls, without fail, support our sisters at every cause. So Chasing Waterfalls is a community of beautiful Black women healing. Chasing Waterfalls can be found at CHESING.waterfalls.com. Chasing is not spelled the traditional way you learned in elementary school. You have to replace the letter A with the number 8. It's Chasing, CH, the number 8, SING, waterfalls.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Chasing Waterfalls. You can find us on Facebook. Same thing, Chasing Waterfalls. And you'll remember to replace the A with the letter 8 if you remember the reason why we're doing this, and it's to find healing. And I started it because I needed the healing after the loss of my daughter. So the 8 is literally an infinity symbol. And so when you think of our story, hopefully that'll help you remember why I chose to use the 8. It's really an infinity symbol in that my daughter is infinitely here and present with us at every chase.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.